This fan base is amazing. The city of Cincinnati is amazing, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Desmond fakes a handoff, runs to the right. He's got all sorts of room to the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Bearcats! 20, 25, toward the middle of the field at the 35, and he is gone! Trey Tucker will take it 98 yards to the house. A nip at night knockout as the Bearcats send a message to the college football world. Did you see that?
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Viva La Cats. I'm your host, Justin Hiles, accompanied by my great friend, Steve Maurer, and we are here to cover the very best of the Bearcats and the very worst every single week, and that happens to be this week. Oh, Steve, I don't even know what to say. I'm so distraught. I was juiced. I was ready. I was ready to go off.
Well, I mean, Justin, here, let me just say this. Let's start with just a tiny tinge of optimism from me before we really dig into the game. Man, what an atmosphere tonight. Like, that's the first time that building has really felt like that. I mean, like, I could feel it through the screen. The first time it's felt like that probably since that last, like, literally the game before COVID happened. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to
Temple
put the
game.
yeah, I don't know if you want to put like the West Miller Georgia game up there. I don't really think people were that excited about that, but man, what a game that was. Just such an exciting environment for those players. I mean, even in the post game right now, Coach Terry from Texas is saying that that was the best road environment they've faced so far this year. You can hear it at times. Like students, by the way, shout out to y'all. Y'all came out and showed out for game 1 in the Big 12. And Justin, I think, like, you know, you're just going to need that every game. But I tweeted this from the account with a gif of like that old Gauntlet show where all the people are trying to hit you with the rubber mats. 16 more games just like that, baby. Y'all better get ready. And then next year, there's going to be 20 games of that. So welcome to the Big 12. Houston couldn't even survive 2 games without taking a road loss. So, Justin, really, before we dig into the game, I do just want to say, though, I weirdly feel okay about getting a split. Like, it's probably not the split that I would have imagined. I probably would have imagined you take the one, win the one at home, and maybe lose the road game. But I'm good with that road win. Like, and that was proof of concept for sure. This is a tough loss right at the end. But weirdly enough, I feel like Texas has a better ability to be better by the end of the season than BYU does, because Texas has more like NBA talent and just college basketball studs. BYU, like, they're good, but I just don't really think they have like those elevational players that Texas does, as we saw tonight.
Let me just put it this way, based on the point that you just made. I'm going to sound so sad tonight. I need to brush it off. It's so fresh. For those of you who are listening on Wednesday, this is about 20 minutes after the game ended. But regardless, I'd rather have both of these games be a win. I understand your caveat.
Well, yeah,
but it's the way, of course. But even in this sense, if BYU flares out, we won a game against a team that, in theory, looked bad, and we lost a game against a team that looked good. So, unless we want to put stock in quality losses, that sucks. But I don't know. I'm gonna try to get the negative energy out. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna get that energy out, and I'm just gonna focus on this. This game was there to win.
Yeah,
it was there to win. Everything was there. Like, there were so many points in this game that we could have and should have hit the takeover button, but we allowed one person to stay in the game. It is the same exact thing against BYU, except the difference is that I don't know. Honestly, it's not that much different. I think the difference is talent. I think the difference is the ability and readiness to play in the Big 12. But I really think it comes down to talent because, quite honestly, look at BYU's best player who got hot and hit like 9 or 12, and then look at Disu, who just went absolutely off. You can't allow, like, this is a thing that is such a Cincinnati thing. You cannot allow players to have career nights against you, and you cannot do it in back-to-back games. Like, this is a very big issue that I don't think is being highlighted enough, is that you're having guys who are unchecked. And I understand that you got a guy who's going to heat up. You're going to have a guy that's going to have a great game. You have to force that other team to utilize somebody else. And then when they can't utilize somebody else, they fall to the wayside. This is the issue. Happened with BYU, but of course, we found a way to kind of level it off. But against Texas, with a talent level that they have, you're not going to be able to rely on, just letting one guy go off and hoping that it's all going to work out.
Well,
It's no excuse for him.
Here's the
having
thing, though,
30-some
Justin. Like
points.
they literally did not know that Dessou was going to play, and like he's been working up to it. And then Kalen Shedrick was supposed to play. I think he was getting ready, but then didn't play. So Dessou was able to play. I don't know. I don't remember if he played on Saturday night against Texas Tech, but I mean, obviously, like he got injured last year and he wasn't, but he put up 28 points in like an NCAA tournament game in the second round game last year. 28-10. Dude's a dog. Like I'm really not as butthurt about like an absolute dude who could probably be like a good bench player in the NBA lighting us up. Like, and the end of the game, it sucks for sure. I'm not like it does suck for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think that they had some chances to really put that game on ice. And Justin, your favorite thing, what did we not do well tonight? Free throws. And Texas made 9 overall free throws, 9 for 10. We were 8 of 15. That 1 point, obviously, the buzzer beater was the actual bucket, but that 1 point was the separation between us and Texas tonight, unfortunately. Yep. But here's the thing, though, and the Rodney Terry said it after the game, head coach for Texas. He said that Cincinnati is the best defensive team they will play this year. And for someone who has watched all of these games, all 15 games so far for Cincinnati, I'm like, what? You talking about us? This Cincinnati team?
Which
you're
Cincinnati
not talking about like
team?
the Bengals? Like, it is, I don't know. I don't really think of us so far as like a really good defensive team, but other than Dessou, like credit to the guys, they really showed up. They were like, you could tell they got after it with the crowd tonight. They were diving for loose balls, getting on the floor, being active in passing lanes, getting steals. And I think a couple things that they just, were not able to capitalize on was those free throws, like we said, and just not being able to. I think there's a couple layups they missed around the rim too, which is just, hindsight's 2020, of course, and it sucks, but I'm just more impressed with how far the program has come, Justin. And maybe that's just like an early like cop out answer. And maybe I'm hiding the pain and drinking the copium a little bit, but just imagine like what we've done, like, a couple of last year or 2 years ago in Wes Miller's time when we had the only good team in our league, Houston, come in. Like we had a running joke on this podcast, Justin, how close can we keep it? And Texas is a good team, regardless of what the metrics say and regardless of what's happened with them. They're a good team. They've got talent. And you probably should have won. And I just think that's such the vibe switch over the past 2 games is such a departure from what I was thinking was going to happen to us in the BYU game. I think I'm still riding high off the BYU end, to be honest, Justin, because like I thought for sure, we're going into Provo, elevation at night, raucous crowd. We are going to just get run out of the gym. And we didn't. We won that game. And like, it doesn't really make me want to count the wins in Big 12 play anymore. It makes that win made me really, and honestly, this game too, like, I don't I'll check the spread. I don't know if we were favored, but like,
4.5.
this is definitely, we were favored.
Yeah, 4.5 for Cincy.
Oh, okay. Well, then let down.
See, here's the thing. I'm really fighting my inner demons here, man. I'm getting pushed and pulled in every single direction right now. This is the worst part because you look at what this game could have been, and I think the hard part is how much I agree with you, which makes the loss hurt that much more. because this program has made so many positive steps forward. And I think there's so much that's been going well. And you can clearly see the proof of it. Like, like you said, I mean, Texas definitely was probably the worst top 25 team as far as quality of wins, quality of losses. They had a horrible strength of schedule, but they took care of it. And then when it came to the ranked teams they played a number 5, they played a number 8, and then they played Texas Tech at home. Those were their 3 losses coming to this game. They're still a good team. I think the hard part and the hard pill to swallow is just how close you are at the end of that game. It is your game to lose, and you lose it. That is the most Cincinnati thing possible, is to have everything right in front of you and then have it swept out from under you at the last second. And this is a thing that I feel like we've just been so used to. And when you get to the end of the game like that, you just need to put it away. And I think it's very difficult when you have all the momentum that you build out of non-conference. Things look pretty good. You had a couple tough losses against teams that you really wanted to beat. I would love, after the game I watched against BYU, after the game I watched just now against Texas, I would love another crack at Texas and Dayton, because I think you got a good chance. Dayton, I don't know. Dayton might be good, but Xavier, that one's going to be tough going forward. That one's going to be really tough, but we're going to leave that one in 2023. Here's the thing. When you move forward from that BYU game into this game, you take a lot of things to learn, which is the energy, the vibe of the team. You have that proof of concept to win. You have this. I said this on our post-game spaces, but this was you've been cold. You may not even be cold. You've been lukewarm. You took a shot. You saw it go through the bucket. And now you're like, okay, I can do this. Like, I can ball out. You've been waiting for that moment. That BYU game was that moment. It was the proof of concept. And now you finally can understand this is the identity that we want for Cincinnati basketball. This is that tough, gritty, grind it out type of team that we've been waiting for. And they went into a tough environment and they stole one away. Then you take this into Texas. You've got so much more energy behind it. It's your first game. It's a big game. It's a team that you want to take out. It's the team that everybody wants you to take out. And there's so much pressure, and you get so close, and you just lose it at the end. I think it's just one of those things that we're going to look back on, and we're going to have a handful of losses. If we're going to look back on ones that we wish we could have had back, I think this is probably at the end of the year. I hope this is the case, but I think by the end of the year, this is probably going to be one of the games that you want back, because a 1-point loss at home against a ranked team to start off your Big 12 home play, there you really couldn't write it any better. Just being able to get that 2-0, get that monkey off your back, get that back-to-back top 25 win. You need that energy so badly, because you are going to get the shit beat out of you the entire rest of the schedule. You might not lose, you might not win, but you are going through the gauntlet. It is going to be tough, and you're going to wear down, and your guys are going to get tired. You got to find wins when you can.
Well, okay, yeah, and I agree with that. And I definitely think like this was a winnable game. They should have won. I'm not really happy with them losing, of course, but I'd like, in your point, I will take out of that, it's going to be a really tough league. And my expectations for this year were already like, not low. But I wasn't really over the moon, like gung ho, thinking that we were going to really win, like reel off 25 wins this year. I kind of am like trying to keep my excitement to a moderate level, just because like we really still don't know all of the trials and tribulations that we're going to go through this season. And how shitty did they look in their 11 wins and 2 losses before Saturday night? Like, we can't like throw out possibly, I mean, their 2 best games right now are obviously the wins against Georgia Tech and BYU. Those are their 2 best performances where they've really come through on both sides of the ball and really been able to win out. And this was another great performance tonight. But
I'd put this up there. I'm not gonna lie. This goes right with it.
Yeah,
I think Texas just found an answer.
Yeah,
this is
for
a
sure.
great game.
Yeah, and dude, they're an Elite 8 team. Like, you're gonna play a lot of those teams this year. But I think we can't, and I'm not going to tell you people to not be upset, because do what you want, be a fan. But I think we should all just remind ourselves about where we were, 5 games ago, 7 games ago, before the season started, and try to like keep that mental image in your head of where you thought this was going to be, and not try to let yourself get overinflated or deflated by every game, because we're going to be playing literally quad 1 and 2 games for the rest of the season, except for West Virginia, because man, they are hot garbage.
Stinky. Yeesh.
Oof.
They might be a quad 4 by the end of the season.
They already are.
Oh, well.
That home
Yeah.
game is, at least. So
See, Steve, I think the hardest part for me here is I agree. You definitely are going to have to keep a level head to be a Cincinnati fan through the season, because it's going to be really difficult. We already saw that with football, and it was very tough. They weren't giving us a whole lot of reason to keep a level head. At least we've got a little bit of an answer here so far. And I am very encouraged by what we saw against Texas. I mean, here's the thing, with Disu, like you said, this is a guy that they weren't necessarily expecting to play. You're not counting on that. You're expecting that you are going to have some amount of a down low presence. But if it's anything like BYU, and looking at the matchups like you had against BYU and you'll have against Texas, that size advantage, you're supposed to bully them down low. And I think they did a great job of that. I think Cincinnati did everything possible that they needed to win except for free throws. And I think I'm gonna go into a little bit of my breakdown for this too, because there was a few things that really bothered me in this game, and I just want to air them out. And I have some positives here too. It's not all negatives. Trust me, there's lots of positives too. I think one of the biggest things is we're still seeing a lot of hero ball. We're not seeing a lot of ball movement in the way that we should. There's so many ISOs. There's so many like just you've got a high screen pick. You're waiting for somebody to like go do something and dish it out. And then they play hero ball and they take it straight down the lane, and they've got a 3v1. They've got a 2v1, 3v1, sometimes 4v1. And it's just unnecessary considering the size matchups that you have. And this is a thing like I saw today with Day Day. Is I think I saw him miss 5 layups, 5. And
yeah,
in all of those situations, he's at the top of the key. He's busting straight down the center of the key. Full head of steam. Gasses everybody. That's great. But if you put it off the backboard and it's going over the rim every single time, that's on Wes. You got to change something. You got to tell him to back off. You got to tell him to dish the ball out. You can't expect this guy to take the exact same take and miss the same take every single time. I think he did a fantastic job of covering Adams. I don't think that the offensive side was necessarily gonna balance that out. I think what you saw when you have a guy like Jizzle go in, you saw the energy shift immediately. And I mean, we've been talking about this all season. Who's that guy who's going to go in and get you a bucket? Literally, put Jizzle James on the floor. You will find a bucket within 2 possessions. That is what he has done every single game that he's been put in this season.
That
it's
baseline
incredible.
J is just so pure.
It's so pure.
Money. It's
Like,
money every time.
I've talked about this before, but like my favorite basketball player in the NBA is DeMar DeRozan. His game reminds me so much of him because he's just got that pure, like Kobe, like kind of just pure jump shot where he's going to take it off the screen. He's going to run up and he's going to shoot it. It doesn't matter if he's got coverage in his face. It doesn't matter if he's wide open. He's going to hit that. He's going to find it. He's going to hit it. And he's so good between the arc and the paint. Like, it's just incredible. I've been so impressed. With that said, the part that really bothers me here is you did so many things right in this game. You had so many guys do so many things right, but then you fail to hit free throws. You fail to do the literal most basic, fundamental piece of basketball, an unguarded shot where you get nobody in your face. You get to take a breath and take a shot straight down the center, and you fail at that point. Again, like, this is not calling anybody out because there was plenty of guys who missed those tonight. But like you said before, 1 point was a difference in this game. 1 free throw was a difference in this game. 1 free throw at any point during this 40 minutes of basketball was the difference in this game. And you just can't let your team lose based off of free throws. But this is the thing that has been a Cincinnati problem for seasons on end. And it just drives me insane because it's such a simple thing. I understand that, like, I'm not going to go out there and make the free throws, but I'm also not paid to go out and make the free throws. I'm a podcaster, not a basketball player. I just talk about it.
You
Go
gotta
out
tell
and
them to
make the
shoot them
free
when they're
throws.
tired.
Go out and make the free throws. Like I understand, but it's like this is such a simple thing. This is not trying to, make a three with two guys smothering you in, with no time on the clock to win the game. Like Seamus, I think he got an okay look, but it wasn't great at the end. And that is what it is. That's not what you're asking somebody to do here. You just have to do the fundamental things. And Texas did that better than you tonight. And that's the reason that they won.
Bearcat fans, make sure to head on over to Charlie Hustle. They have the best Big 12 gear by a mile. And I'm not just saying that. Go check out the site. A lot of great schools on there. If you're supporting a second team, definitely the place to go to get your first shirt supporting that second team. This week, they are actually doing a hardwood must-haves collection. They're dropping new collections every day. They just did one for Kansas on Monday, K-State on Tuesday, and I'm sure a bunch of the other Big 12 schools that we've grown to know and love and as our friendly rivals will be released later on this week. So go on over to Charlie Hustle, use the promo code 101215. That's the word 10 and then the numbers 1215 for 15% off your first order. You don't even have to get a college shirt there. Justin, there's a shirt that says 1776 USA Drinking Team, which I am quite fond of, with red, white, and blue solo cups. There's also just some plain t-shirts where if you just need a comfortable t-shirt, get it from Charlie Hustle, man. Go support the brand. Go support the guys that are supporting the Big 12. Go shop at Charlie Hustle. Again, that promo code, the word 10 and the numbers 1215, 10, 12, 15 for 15% off at checkout. Yep. And then, the only that and then the turnovers were the only things that UC was really not either close or winning tonight on the total team stats. Like everything else is pretty much a win for UC. Won the rebounding battle, more assists, more blocks, more fast break points, just 2 less points in the paint, 9 less fouls. You have to be, for 38 and a half minutes. Sorry, I'm so upset I knocked down my microphone. For 38 and a half minutes, they played great. It was just that last, 43 seconds that really hurt you. And
well, real quick too, you mentioned the point on fouls. Texas having 19 fouls and staying so disciplined that you only have 10 in this game, you have to take advantage of that. That's just obscene. Like, you have to take advantage of that. They gave that to you on a silver platter. You have to win with those circumstances.
Now, here, let me ask you this. Like, let's talk about the last segment there. Newman, obviously misses the free throw, and then we let them play, and A. Smith goes one-on-one, gets ISO and just gets a good bounce. Like literally just he got a good bounce and game's over. Would you have called a timeout there in that situation just to really or call the foul and then try and call a timeout right there, because you still had fouls to give, try and get a half court defense set up instead of just letting them drive down and play. I mean, that is the Roy Williams, to just keep pockets in your timeouts in your pocket at the end of games. But what would you think about that?
Call it, brother. Call it. It's there. It's the chance that you have. They have a final possession there. There's literally, it's the shot clock could go to zeros and you could win the game. Call it when you have the lead. Like, it's just one of those things that you have to take the chance to reset. I understand you don't want to give them a look. Maybe you want to play. When we miss that free throw, I think this is one of those things. Basketball is a game of runs. It's a game of momentum. That's all this is. You can clearly see it, especially in this game. Insane game flow, by the way, for anybody who looks at this chart.
This is really back and forth.
It's like a DNA spiral the whole way.
If you're not a fan, if you weren't a fan and you were watching this game, this is a great game.
Yeah, this is an instant classic for Cincinnati and for Texas. Unfortunately, it's not an instant classic because we lost, but it's an instant classic. Regardless, you look at the way this game shakes out, you have to understand that the second that Newman misses that free throw, you got to call it timeout. You have to reset. Okay, now we got to have a plan, because all that happened after that, They get the ball, they go down the court, and now it's Texas's game to win. And they got some hoopers. Like, this is not like a fraudulent team. Like, this is a team full of guys that can make a shot. And of course, they get it to their one marquee guy. The thing that still pisses me off, and this is a thing that I will hold on to forever as long as I think of this game. Was it a travel? Was it not?
I'm not really, I don't care. I like, to be honest, like, you're gonna get screwed by referees all the time now.
And
Like,
see here, and that's I agree with you there. I'm pissed because I personally believe it was travel.
Let me
not just bias when you
I want to hear your take. I don't want to douse water
no. I
over
understand.
your take just like that. But
like, it's the problem is, if you plant your foot and that foot slides, you are not staying stationary on a pivot foot. That by rule is a travel. You don't get to slide a foot and then not have it called a travel. Regardless, here's my point. You need to make that free throw. If the shot before, God forbid, you get another Victor Lock and Dagger 3 to finish out the game. If you could have had that, if you could have had all these other free throws, you had so many opportunities in this game before this one free throw and before this situation that a travel should not decide the game. I understand that if they call a travel, which absolutely I would have loved that. Any Cincinnati fan would have loved that. If they call a travel, Cincinnati gets the ball back, they foul, they're in the bonus, game's over. Like, you can cement that away. But you should not get to the point in the game where that is the thing. And unfortunately, because it's the Big 12, because it's Texas, because it's the game that it is, sometimes it might come down to that. But that's the thing, is you have to take care of business before the final 20 seconds in order to make sure that that does not become a problem. And unfortunately, tonight, that was the case. And, I want to, aside from all of these other things that kind of sucked in there, I really do want to highlight this. Seamus finally had that, like, coming out game. Like, I think he's done well in some of the other games that he's had, but this was a huge performance from him, especially in the second half. He went off, like, unconscious. And, like, he made some really clutch shots that really just gave us that momentum that allowed us to stay in this game. And I was really happy that we saw that from him. I think another thing that I really want to highlight here is, again, like, Vic, 17, Seamus, 19, Jamil, 11. Like, you've got some guys that are making these contributions and they're doing it fairly consistently. Great game for Jamil, but Vic, man, like, Vic has been the one consistent point. He is averaging like 16 points a game, something like that. Like, he's up there. Like, he's doing 15 points a game, whatever it is. He's doing a very good job of giving us a consistent baseline, and he's doing it at a very high level. And he's got other guys around him that are helping him out, but he's doing a very good job.
You know who's earning his minutes right now? Josh Reed, man. Like, comes in, hits 2 threes, plays some solid defense. Like, right now, I wouldn't mind giving more of Dan's minutes to Josh Reed. I mean, Dan played a little bit better tonight, wasn't able to hit a 3. And he did have that one big dunk, which was nice, but Josh is just such a reliable player on the defensive end, and anything he gives you on offense is a plus. And if he's found like the 3-point shooting stroke right now, I'd give him some more of those minutes off the bench. And the announcers said that they thought that Jamil played his best game as a Bearcat tonight. I probably would agree. I think he played really well, and he was stout on the defensive end. And man, the thing I love about Jamil is that he just flushes his dunks. Like, how many basketball players at the University of Cincinnati, Justin, have we see just, go up and, just try to lay the ball in, no. Jamil is like, get out of the way. I'm slamming this mother home. So I was happy about that. The only guy I'm kind of was, Aziz putting up a 0. I know he went up. He was hurt a little bit tonight, and he was playing against some better competition. Still a positive defensive force. And then the other one though is like Newman only giving us 5. Like that like we probably need like at least 5 more points from one of these starters more consistently. And I do want to talk about this too, Justin. Why don't we just talk about it now? How many more games does Day get in the starting rotation before you gotta just let Jizzle cook? Is it after Kansas?
No, I said so. Hunter and I actually talked about this on the
Yeah, I
Spaces after
listened.
the
It
game,
was great, by the
and it's
way.
like
If you guys want to live in that BYU glow just like me, go listen to the episode.
this is one of those things that's really like frustrating to me because I come back to this over and over again. If you look at Day-Day's minutes in this game, and I hate singling out people like this, by the way. Like I don't want people to take this as like a negative thing, but like just speaking plainly of what's clearly being seen on the court. Day-Day's going 1 for 7. He's offering you 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a turnover, and a foul, 2 total points on 26 minutes. This is your starting point guard. I understand that our system has completely changed to where we're so reliant now down low and we're reliant on these bigs. And maybe it's just his job to pass, but every single time, like I said earlier, you're just seeing him blitz with speed, and that's great, but you have to be able to finish. You have to understand that sometimes that's not your night. And I think this is the thing that we felt really frustrated about with Davenport last year is sometimes you can have a great night, and that's great. But if your baseline ends up having you miss a lot of shots and has volume, that can work and you might still win in the American. That does not work in the Big 12. Like it just flat out won't. Teams will take advantage of that, and every single missed shot will count against you. I understand that that's such a like cop out kind of thing to say, but in this conference, every shot that you miss will just haunt you because again, this is one of those things. If he makes any single one of those buckets, look at the difference in the score. Look at the difference in the momentum. Look at the way this game gets set out. And it's not just him, it goes down to other guys' mission shots too. I mean, even Dan, he went 3 for 8, which is okay, but given the energy plays that you have, but 0 for 3 from 3, and going 3 for 8. And then you have, again, John Newman going 1 for 6. Like you have to have some of these guys show up. And I understand it's not going to be everybody's night. But when you can see that it's not somebody's night and it's starting to fall apart, don't keep going back to the same thing. And that's a thing that I feel like that comes back on coaching. And I feel like that comes back on just cycling it out, trusting the hot hand. And I think that sometimes we don't necessarily do that. And we don't have the discipline to keep those guys in. And this is where I come back to Jizzle. Look at the difference. 26 minutes tonight for Day, who offered you 1 for 7, 15 for Jizzle. 15 minutes for your spark plug, for your energy guy, for the guy that goes in, drops in, gives you a bucket. And then next thing you know, that whole game flips on its head. It happened to BYU. It happened against Xavier. It happened against, plenty of other situations. And you're just now looking at this where it's like, you can't have this guy in for only 15 minutes. He is a major impact player. I feel like you got to put him out on the court more. And I feel like Day is starting to, if you're not going to make him start, give him equal minutes. I want to see 20 from both of them, but do not let this balance get so far out of whack when it's just not giving you the offensive output that position desires and honestly needs, especially in the Big 12.
Yep. Real quick, Justin, speaking of the Big 12, BYU is leading at Baylor at halftime right now, 36-33. Bearcats do visit Baylor next at their new arena with the Sting camera angle all the way up in the rafters there. Literally, you staring down from heaven. That's like, it was an NKU ass camera angle. So I hope everybody's ready for that. But man, like I do agree. I am coming around to your way now, Justin. Like that's a tough L to take, especially when it was a winnable game. And you're right. We do need to be stacking up wins as much as we can right now because we don't know what it's going to be like in the Big 12. And, Aziz has already been hurt a couple of games. CJ Frederick's out indefinitely. Hopefully no more cars are driving around on campus. It just, it's going to be a long season. And you're right. Like we definitely should have had that game. I don't want anybody to leave this podcast saying Steve thinks that losing is fine. I don't think that losing is fine. We definitely should have won that game. I'm just more impressed with how far Wes Miller has taken the program. When I was doubting him at the start of this year and through however many games, like I definitely had some doubts. And we're not getting it. It's night and day between football and basketball. Like we look competitive. We look like we're day one ready, as a certain athletic director would say.
Well, and let's look at this too. I mean, like I said, we're going to walk away from this and you're going to want that game back. But at the end of the day, Texas is a Big 12 team. Texas is going to the SEC. They can trout that all they want, but they're a good team and they're a good program and they're a very good athletic university in general. This is a high mark and there's a reason that everybody wants their head and there's a reason everybody wants to beat them. It sucks that you didn't get it over them, but you can clearly see the proof of concept. You can see the system working. And let's just look at this too. Free throws, 53% tonight. That sucks. That's awful. But as a team, shooting 47% and shooting 41% from the three, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take the 41% from the three. You're taking better shots. I do think that they took some better looks tonight. I think the unfortunate thing is you're going to have teams that are really good, and then there's going to be teams that are going to be really good, and you might not have a great night. I think the thing is, this is not an off night. This is an on night for Cincinnati. So if this is an on night for Cincinnati and you have this close of a game,
You're right. Yeah.
you're just
You
going to
gotta
have to
win.
find a way to tick it up a little bit because when you have an off night, it's not going to be pretty. It is going
Yeah.
to be very, very ugly.
Yep. You're right.
And I think you just moving forward, you come off this game, we've got Baylor next. This is one of those things where you've got an away team at 14. If they manage to pull off a win over BYU, who's still ranked, who still looks pretty good, they're going to only look even better. So that's another opportunity to win. But also, I will remind you that Baylor is the best 3-point shooting team in the country.
I
That
thought
is a
BYU
thing.
was.
Sorry.
I thought BYU was.
I think it's Baylor. I'd have to go
Oh,
look again, but I'm pretty sure
see,
it's Baylor.
BYU lost the mantle after the Bearcats came
Well,
and played them. So look
but
what's going to
look,
happen on Saturday.
But look, this is a thing that like these teams will offer you offense. These teams will do a very good job of giving you their best every single night, and it's not going to be easy. And so for a team like Baylor that you have coming up, you got to get right and you got to get right quick. And I don't necessarily think they were off, but you got to be ready to go into that environment and you got to be ready to put up again. And that's the thing is this schedule is going to get very tiring very fast. And you're not going to have your first break until UCF. And I would not count that as a break. UCF did not look very good against Kansas State, but it's going to be hard. We're
Yeah.
used to playing UCF. I don't
We'll
think
see
it's
how
going to be,
they do at home tomorrow against Kansas.
yeah. I don't think it's going to be any easier. And I really do think that there's a bit of continuity between some of these teams in this conference that, there might be a little bit more of a level playing field because it's the Big 12. It's a little bit of a cannibal conference. There usually aren't any just clearing away winners. There's just a lot of teams that do pretty good. And the average out, if you're in the middle of the pack, you're doing a great job. Again, this is the thing that I think is the biggest takeaway from today. You lose that game. Well, if you have 16 more games to go and you want to reach 500, you got to win one and lose one for every rest of the games that you have. And so that's where, again, you wish that you had that game to just kind of give you a little bit of a buffer. But
Yep.
alas,
I agree.
here we are.
Yeah, I agree. It's just gonna suck in the morning. Looking at the standings and the schedule. But I don't know. I just feel like like I said, 16 more games, long way to go. I think there's some winnable games on the schedule. And I think as long as you keep that mindset that you had before the season started, let this team surprise you a little bit. Like,
Yep.
Obviously BYU was definitely a surprise to a lot of us. Like, let them keep surprising you again. I think this is just a great year, great time for fans to like let this team really show us what they're made of because they've got 16 more chances against the best conference in basketball.
Very fast question. Who are we rooting for right now? Are we rooting for BYU or are we rooting for Baylor?
BYU, baby. We haven't played Baylor yet. We got
Yep.
that BYU win already on
Yeah.
the schedule, and we don't play them again. So
yeah, I'll take that.
let them keep winning.
We got anything else tonight, Steve?
No, sir. It just, again, shout out to the environment tonight. I could feel it emanating through the ESPN Plus. That was awesome.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Hopefully we can snag a win at Baylor coming up, but Bearcats still do start 12-3. Looks pretty good start to the Big 12. See if we can continue the juice, keep it up. things aren't looking so bad, even if it hurts right now. A little bit of a sting, but we'll be back.
Bearcats greater than Bears. Viva la Cats.
Viva.
Cats.
Perfecto. Oh wait, Charlie Hustle. Fuck. Well, we can add it in.
Okay.
I'll do it fast. Can you send me a link?